Hi, I'm Renee.
And I'm Debbie, and together
We are the Roundtable Recap. Hey, welcome back. We are on Destination X, Season 1, Episode 5, and we're halfway through the season already.
Yeah. Wow.
I know. It's gone by pretty fast.
Yeah, it's moving right along.
For sure. But kicking right off, they start, of course, always on the bus.
Hmm.
And I kind of laughed at when Peter said, and who knows, maybe because there's conversations that aren't happening in front of the camera or for us viewers to watch. But I laughed where Peter said he thinks Biggie is playing 4 to 5 steps ahead of everybody
Yeah.
else. Because we literally just said on the last episode about him just playing like what's in front of him versus
Yeah, I know. I laughed about that too.
yeah.
Yeah, I do not agree. I do not think Biggie is thinking 4 to 5 steps
No.
ahead.
No, not at all. Not at least what we can see anyways.
Right, right.
And then all I really have before their first mission is Peter is speaking with his alliance, Rick and Janae, in regards to him tracking the sun to try to really pinpoint where
Hmm.
they are and which direction they're going.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty interesting because he said he thought they were heading south, and people questioned him, and he said, well, because of the direction of the sun. Because, in the beginning, in the first episode, Biggie was trying to do that. He was
Yeah.
trying to track. Yeah. And then it really didn't show him after the first episode. So it's interesting, yeah, that Peter is now tracking the sun.
Yeah, and I mean, I think he's pretty accurate so far. I think it's been working really good.
Hmm.
And then, did you have anything before they go into the first mission?
I just thought it was just interesting when, after Ty left, the comments that Kim and Allie made about Ty, and then Janae's like, oh, don't get
Right,
on
yeah.
your bet. Yeah, don't cross them, because she thought they were, especially Allie, she thought they were
They're
getting
strong
along.
allies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then to say some stuff about her when she leaves. People's
Hmm.
true gameplay's coming out.
Yeah. So then jumping into mission 1, Jeffrey asked them to pair up and they'd pick the pair. You're either number 1 or number 2. So everyone pairs up. And then the twist is they now are on teams. So it's number 1 versus number 2.
Right.
And they actually don't have to put their goggles on this time. He has them walk to get to the train. And the teams end up being Mac, Biggie, Rick, and Shane. And then the other team is Peter, Kim, Janae, and Allie.
Hmm.
And what they have to do is they get 2 attempts to match up items with their country. And then the most right, they get the actual city of what they've gone through. And if they have the least right, then they just get basically a fake
Yeah, the
city.
red herring. Yeah, there was the 9 suitcases that they had to match the items. The items were in there, and then they have to lock in their guesses. Yeah.
Yes, and they don't know whether or not they're the team that got the most right or wrong. However, this is where Peter decides to make sure that they are wrong. So
Hmm.
he tells his team to not even try, and then that
Yeah.
way they have 100% confidence that they get all
Yeah.
the red herrings, and at least it marks where they're not.
Yeah. I thought this was a good strategy on his part because it benefits him and Janae because Rick is on the other team,
Mhm.
part of their, secret alliance.
Well, even
So I thought
Allie
that,
too. I mean, not that
yeah,
Peter
that's true.
knows,
Yes.
but yeah, it
Yeah.
benefit Allie because Shane's on the other team as well, and he's gonna tell her.
Yeah, the only one it doesn't benefit is Kim, and Kim doesn't even want to be on this team because she doesn't even like what does she say? She doesn't like the newbies.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 I mean, starting from this mission onward, because obviously we know goes home this episode, and so
Hmm.
it just didn't surprise me. Like starting with
Yeah.
this mission and then just how it continued to play out, where it comes into a clear picture just how much of a solo game she's playing.
Yeah, and like I had said before, I mean, it's possible to play a solo game, but it's going to be really hard to,
Hmm.
play it to the end. You really need an alliance, some type of an alliance to get you through.
What really shows this episode just how much of a
Yeah.
social game there is at play.
Yeah, I had to laugh because when team won, they're trying so hard, and then who is that? Biggie's like, that they're what did he say?
Yeah, they're giving
They're trying.
they're giving it all they got.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
the other team, and then the other team's just sitting there.
Yeah, in silence while the timer's running down. Yeah.
No, they're not even trying. They're just sitting around enjoying the train ride.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that
So
was I had to laugh.
I did. I laughed and I actually wrote that down too because I'm like, oh my gosh, they're completely doing opposite of what the other team is thinking
Yeah.
that the other team's doing. So obviously, Mac, Biggie, Rick, and Shane, they get the two correct cities, which were the first one was Frankfurt and the other one
Mhm.
was Stuttgart.
Yeah.
And then the red herrings were the
Dorkman and
Hanover.
Hanover. Yeah, but I thought that was interesting that Kim said, "Well, that sounds German," so that was interesting that she picked up on that. And the other thing that I was impressed with on the other team was that Mac, again, I mean, intellectually, I think she's really good. I just haven't seen much of her social play,
Mhm.
but she knew a lot of the clues from the
Yeah.
suitcases in matching them to the cities. Yeah, she knew a lot of them.
Also, I don't know if I just missed it, but I wondered how they picked for each person on the team to like lock in the answer because the person
Mhm.
who pushed the button in another cart on the train, they're the ones who were given the name of the city.
Right.
So everyone shared with their team the city except for Kim. Kim decided
Mhm.
to not share her city that was revealed.
Right.
So again, it just
Yeah.
reconfirms that she is a solo player. And then Peter asked Allie to not share with Shane that they 100%
Mhm.
basically through the game. I mean, Janae is like, no, she's going to share with Shane. And
Right, yeah. I think Peter was trying to feel her out. I mean, just because somebody tells you to do something, doesn't mean you're going to do it. But I think he was also paying attention to what her gameplay is in this. I don't know if he really expected her. I think he was just kind of feeling her out.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that was my impression anyway, how that whole conversation went down.
Yeah, because I
Yeah.
didn't really see the point in the conversation because regardless, they're going to share with whoever they're going to
Mhm.
share with.
Right.
And I mean, even if you make a promise to that team, I mean, it doesn't hold any water. And everyone knows that.
Yeah.
And then, but later, I mean, right after this is where Peter has a discussion with Allie. He says that there's no point in having a moral compass or whatever
Mhm.
in the game. I'm like, why would you
Well,
show your cards all up front or even,
I think he was feeling her out. I think he's trying to find people that he can work with, and I think this just kind of confirmed to him that he can't work with Allie. He knows he can work with Rick. He knows he can work with Janae. I think he's just seeing, especially for his game. I mean, the more people that he has in a side alliance, the better for his game. And I just
yeah,
think he was just feeling her out. And like I said, it just showed that he can't work with her.
yeah.
Plus some
And,
other
and
things that
vice,
happen.
yeah, and vice versa. She's like,
Yeah.
I can't trust you either, seeing how you,
They're just playing the game differently, the two of them.
yeah. And then I
But
think
yeah,
this, oh,
so I
go,
was gonna
go
say
ahead.
the clue that they missed, because neither team got the big clue,
Mhm.
Jeffrey's big clue, which was Oktoberfest. Yeah, as soon as I
Which
saw that, I knew what city it was. I'm like, because I've been there and I've been there during Oktoberfest.
yeah. Oh, and he said Stuker. I was like, yeah. That's where I was born. Although I
Yeah.
not like I remember any of it, but
Yeah. Yeah.
I do think though this is kind of where again Kim failed or sealed her fate in this sense because she knows that she needed a clue or some
Right.
help with exactly what city they were in,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
she decides not to ask anyone at this point.
Yep.
Which
Yeah,
comes up later
she's
again too, but she's sticking to her guns. She's like, "Nope, I am gonna be okay
yeah.
on my own."
Yeah, because she's an investigator. I mean, I guess that's her profession, and so she
Mhm.
thought she could do it on her own. For a game like this, a social game, you need people. You need an
Yeah,
alliance. You need somebody you can trust. But
100%. Or
yeah,
again, to bounce those ideas back and forth with.
right.
But yeah, so this is
So
kinda also where Allie tells Mac, Shane, and Biggie what Peter says. And then at the same time, Rick and Peter meet and they're kinda discussing Munich.
and then I had to replay it like 3 times, but I guess Rick tells Peter that his team, they're all going to go after Peter and Janae. It was said so,
Oh,
and then Peter's like, okay, game on. And so I was like, what did Rick say? What did I had to replay it. It was so hard to hear that. but that was the gist I got, was that Rick was saying that, yeah, the people on his team, so that would have been Biggie, Shane, and Mac were going to go after Peter and
Peter and
Janae.
Janae. Oh,
Yeah.
I missed that one then completely. I
Yeah.
I
Well, like I
do.
said, I had to play it 3 times to try it.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? What is he saying? And then only because of Peter's reaction, game on. I'm like, well, game on for what?
Yeah, yeah. Good catch, good catch. Yeah, so then they move on to mission two, which they're placed in the Black Forest. They are asked to sit on a log with a basket, and
Mhm,
in the baskets contain three of them are a poisonous apple, which means if you end up with that basket, you're automatically in the map room.
mhm.
Two contain mirrors, which ends up being a good power, and then three of them have cookies. And he says, "My, what big eyes you have," which I was already like thinking like, oh, the Grimm brothers and the fairy tale.
Yeah.
Like I immediately made that connection. But then they're asked to one by one say what's in their basket, whether it's a lie
Hmm.
or not. And
Right.
then after they go through what's in their basket, then they can either keep their basket or swap it with another. But then
Yeah.
you can't look at your basket after it gets swapped until everyone's
Right.
done.
Yeah.
So I have Allie decides to swap with Rick,
Hmm.
because Rick says he
Well,
has. Go
yeah,
ahead.
even before they start swapping, everybody knows that some of them are lying because ended up 4 of them said that they had the mirror, and there's only 2 mirrors out there.
Mhm.
So they already know that in that group of 4, Rick, Janae, Mac, and Biggie, at least 2 are lying.
Yeah. Out of curiosity, would you
Um,
have said you had cookies, an apple, or a mirror?
I think I would have gone with Cookie. I think I would have just played it safe. I wouldn't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I would have. Unless maybe I had an apple, maybe I would have said I had a mirror to get
Mm.
someone to take it from me.
Right. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
otherwise, I think if I either had cookies or a mirror, I would have just said cookies.
Well, okay, you have an apple, you say you have a mirror. Nobody has taken your basket. Doesn't it look strange
Swap
if you
it?
yeah, that's why I wouldn't say I had a mirror. That's why I think Cookie is a safe bet
Yeah.
because,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah, cookies is safe.
it's like, okay, you have a mirror. Why are you switching?
To try to swap it to get a mirror. Yeah, that would make sense. If you had an apple, you said cookies, it wouldn't look as suspicious
Right.
if you swapped it for someone who said they had a mirror to try to get
Yeah.
that power. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, Allie swaps hers with Rick, who says he has a mirror, and then well, Kim and Peter, they both keep theirs, even though they're the only two that say they have an apple in their basket.
Yeah. That was an interesting strategy to say that.
Yeah. And then Rick swaps with Kim. Yeah, he thinks that she's lying about having an apple.
Hmm.
So we come to find out that, yep, Rick lies. So Allie ends up with an apple.
Hmm.
Rick, he ends up with an apple because Kim was
Hmm.
telling the truth that she had an apple. And then
Right.
Kim ends up with an apple.
Yeah, how did you like Peter's reaction to Allie? Because Allie had said that she had a cookie, right?
So she ends up lying. I get it because she looks at the missions as games in themselves and that it's all bets are off. But I feel like when it comes to the bus,
Mm,
even though it's still a game, I feel like that's where she's like, I'm not gonna lie or mislead
yeah.
or whatever. Like, I feel like that is her gameplay is if it's a game within the game, then all bets are off. But outside of that game,
Hmm. Whereas Peter sees the whole thing as a game, whether on
right.
the bus or out
In a mission.
on the
Yeah.
missions. Yeah, it's all a game. So your strategy is the same. Yeah. Once he found out that she lied after she just went this whole big spiel on the bus with him about not misleading people, and then she ends up lying. So yeah, he knows for certain he can't trust her.
Yep. And Peter, he lied because he
No,
said he
what
had
did
an
he say?
apple, but he actually had cookies.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yes. Yeah.
Shane told the truth. Mac and Janae both had mirrors and they told the truth. And they're the
Hmm.
ones who kept their mirrors. I think most of them or half of them lied.
Yeah, yeah, a good half, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways, the two that end up with the mirror, like I said, is Mac and Janae, and they have to follow the breadcrumbs into
Hmm.
the forest, at which Heidi Klum gives them a
Hmm.
message. She's in a mirror, and she gives them a message that the power that they both have is they can send someone to the map room.
I like the way that Janae played it, with Heidi Klum, because she recognized Heidi
Mhm.
Klum, but to Mac, she was like, "Who? Who is that?" And then in her confessional, Janae said that she thinks Heidi Klum is from Munich, but she didn't share that with Mac. I thought
No.
that was good. I really liked her gameplay on that little, even though it was short, it was a quick exchange, but I really liked that. I thought she played that really good.
Yeah, and they both promised to not put each other in the map room as well,
Right.
which
Yes.
which they end up actually keeping their promise to one another.
Yeah,
So,
that surprised me. So that was good. Yeah.
yeah. So now they go back to the bus, and
Hmm.
Janae shares the clues with Peter, and it basically confirms for both of them that it's Munich that is the
Right.
city.
Yeah.
And
The thing I thought was funny is because initially, when the way that this episode started with, fairy tales and things like that, immediately the place that came to my mind was Neuschwanstein Castle because it's the castle that Disney World is based off from. And I thought it was just interesting because when she shared with Peter, he said Neuschwanstein Castle, and then he said, which is near Munich. And so I had
yeah.
to laugh because, again, I've been to both places, so I thought that was funny.
Yeah, and both of them know their cities, at least around the Germany.
Yes.
I mean, both of them
Yep.
didn't struggle with knowing where they were at
Yeah.
or everything made sense to them.
Yeah, so I again, I think the Janae, Peter, Rick alliance is a strong alliance.
Yeah, yeah, 100% strong.
And especially
Um,
after the way this ended, because their only thorn, the only thing that, could go wrong was Kim.
yeah, which
So,
I'm really surprised even Kim knowing that Rick had this alliance, I'm really shocked that she didn't try to do an alliance with Rick.
right. Yeah, I would have gone after Rick and said, okay, so you're in this secret alliance. Yeah, I would
Yeah.
have definitely moved in on that, but she
Hmm.
didn't. So I think that three-person alliance is a very strong alliance.
Yeah, and they're smart. Like,
Yes.
I mean, I know how was it Mac, and I don't think it was just Mac, but a lot of people commented on like Shane and his
Oh,
he knows his strengths. It's just not intellectually, it's
right.
but but yeah, those three, quite a power trio.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting. So you've got that, and then on the other side, you've got Mac, Shane, Allie, and Biggie.
Mac, I don't know. Mac, I think she's just there. I don't really know who's really tight in her alliance because obviously Shane and Biggie are a strong alliance, and then you have Shane and Allie. So it's kind of the three of them, but at the same point, it's like Shane is actually the one that has these two different alliances.
Right. Yeah,
But yeah,
and
Mac, I
Mac.
don't.
Yeah, I think Max just jumped in because
Ty
he
left.
wants right.
She's
But
like,
I
take
think
me on. I can
yeah.
join you guys.
But I think because the four of them want Peter and Janae out, so they have a common goal. So I
Common
think that's why.
enemy. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So then that's it before they head into the map room.
Mm-hmm.
Janae, ends up sending Shane in because
Uh-huh.
Matt gets the first choice. And so she, no surprise, picks Peter to go into the map room.
Mm-hmm.
And
Right.
Janae sends Shane with the reasoning of, for some reason, she doesn't want to be on Biggie's bad side. So yeah, Kim is the one who puts her marker the furthest away because it is Munich. And she put it at Frankfurt.
Yeah.
Shane and Allie, they both chose Stuttgart. And
Yep.
then Rick and Peter chose Munich. Which I thought
Yeah.
Stuttgart was kind of weird
Mm.
because that was one of the cities they went through. So I would
Right.
have went a little bit south of Stuttgart,
Yeah.
knowing that okay, there's Frankfurt, the most
Mm-hmm.
northern, then the second
Right.
city was Stuttgart. So yeah, you're heading south. I don't know. But either
Yeah.
way, they're
Yeah.
safe.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of strange that they put it as at Stuttgart, but maybe they just didn't know any German cities. Yeah, I think any city south of Stuttgart would have been,
Safe.
it really didn't matter in this case because, Kim was still the further north and Rick and Peter knew exactly where they
Mhm.
were, so
Yeah. And then really it just kind of ends off with Shane confronting Peter about that whole conversation about regarding Allie and to try to lie. And where Peter's
mhm.
like, no, I didn't tell her to lie to you. I just
Mhm.
was explaining that a lying and omitting information is essentially the same in this game.
Yeah.
And then it comes to my favorite part. They brought it back.
Oh.
I was so happy. He goes
Yeah.
over a little bit of the clues that you may have missed in the episode.
Yeah. So did you catch any of the clues or
Other
you
than
know?
the Grimm's brother. I grasped that right away with
Right.
the fairy tales, and I mean everything was leading towards that.
Yeah, I did not pick up about brewing. I did not pick that up. Who was it? I think Rick is the one that picked that up. I did not,
Hmm.
because that's when he thought about Oktoberfest, brewing beer. And what I
Yeah,
thought that was a good catch. Yeah, that went right over me.
the
I
drama
didn't catch that.
brewing. Yeah,
Yeah. So he's very subtle in his clues.
yeah,
Sometimes, but the ones that matter, it seems like he's very subtle in those clues.
yeah,
But I did like that. I had to laugh when they did the clue review, and I'm like, yep, okay, yeah, I do kind of like this.
yeah. I do. I'm glad
Yeah.
they brought it back this episode.
Yeah.
So that's it. We will see what happens come next episode.
Yay.
We'll see you guys there.